Look at him.
It's the top one, the one that
All
just.
right.
All right.
Oh, here we go. Excellent.
We are live.
All right, we're on, brother.
We are live, coming at you. See here. There we go. Boom. Well, welcome everybody to the Ron and John show. Another episode. I think this is what, episode number 4, right?
3.
Sort of like
Yeah. Something like 4. Yeah. We can do 4 like Westside too. You know, we can throw that shit up.
We are ready to
It's all good.
and
We can do that.
for 2. So I got me a beer poured here. We're working over there.
That's
Ron.
right. We gotta kick this thing off. I am gonna be rocking, keeping it true to the roots, with some cazadores, and we're gonna kick this one off a little different, right? And I think it's a new tradition we're picking up, and to keep it hood. It's not Corona. It's not Modelo. It's a
Well,
tall
hey,
boy beer.
oh,
You know,
What you got over there, John?
I got soju here, man. So, and this is a shout out to all of my Korean brothers and sisters that I have served with. And I got to open this bottle and pour my shot, but I got to do it in a Korean tradition here, okay? And
Okay, well let that rock. Let's see it.
𝗙𝗏, who served with me for 27 months on the Korean Peninsula, he actually came to my ceremony when I was inducted as a SEAC, and he and his wife Monica were great friends to Sandra and I for years. So what I'm going to do, and anybody that served in Korea knows, I'm going to take my bottle up, all right? I'm going to tap the bottom of it with my elbow. I'm going to pull the top off, and I'm going to spruce the ground there, and now I'm ready to pour my shot, all right? Actually, I'm not supposed to pour my shots. Somebody else is supposed to pour for me because that's a Korean tradition, but we're all in. So I'm ready on one, brother.
Well, shit. Let's do it then.
Hey, we got some special today, right?
We do have some special guests today. We'd like to invite Mike and Brooke Villano, who are going to be talking about financial wellness during crisis, but also the co-founders of our beloved Veterans Lending Group, who makes all this stuff possible. So now y'all get to see who's behind the scenes here, right? Who's behind the scenes and putting this all together. We thank you. We appreciate you for coming on the show today.
we appreciate it, guys. We're happy to be here, man. This is we've been looking forward to this for some time.
We're lucky
Awesome.
we made it. Today's been crazy.
Man, yeah.
I bet. Well, I'd like to all raise my toast up to today on April 22nd, years ago, for Ranger Pat Tillman. Think of you in honoring you today, brother. One for the airborne range in the sky.
So today,
Mike and Brooke, would you like to cheers to, and we'll get this thing kicked off.
yeah. All right. God bless.
Cheers.
To,
Cheers.
Pat Tillman, all of our fallen.
Amen.
Absolutely, for all of them.
Oh yeah. Ooh, that goes down nice after a day like today.
Well, Ron, what you been doing this week, man?
Brother, we've been full steam ahead, teaching classes. We've been still the pedal on the metal. You know, just because we're not traveling doesn't mean we're not keeping up and educating and knocking some things out. And got some really special invites, which we'll be talking about probably in a show coming up. But since you and I did that trip at Fairchild, we've got a couple more invitations. I don't think I had a chance to tell you, but the National Guard would like us to take the Ron and John show here in Washington State at Camp Murray to one of their battalions, and with the hopes of kind of expanding and making that bigger and spectacular. So a lot of fun stuff going on. I know you've got a lot going on, even though the travel has stopped, you never stop. What's going on in your corner?
Just, brother, I've been doing a lot of leadership seminars and out and just staying connected with folks. Since we honored Pat today. I decided to do the show today from the Troxel bar, Top Troxel. And if you look behind me right here, I have my print from 4th Striker ID when I was Sergeant Major. And I felt since honoring our fallen today, I wanted to have that background because I lost 54 awesome warriors were killed in action 2007 and 8. Another over 5 severely wounded. So wanted to have that in. But the big event for me this week, brother, I broke down and let Sandra cut my hair. So
You did a good job, man.
It looks good.
Hey,
Props to Sandra.
let me tell you something.
It looks great.
She grew up in a family of 15 children, you know, traditional Mexican, which you know all too well, brother. And
I do.
so she used to have to cut hair, you know, in the family. And so she dusted off the clippers and everything, and she hooked me up. And I think I look pretty good. What do you think?
I think it's good. You know,
Very good.
to be honest with you, knowing Sandra and that I have to face her one more time and several times, it looks fantastic.
It's your best cut
Yeah,
yet.
she did a good job. So, but you know, I said to her, I said, "Look, are you confident you can cut my hair?" She gave me a look and she said, "You just better shut up, or I will fuck your shit."
Yeah,
I love her.
sure did. And
That's fair.
that's why it looks fantastic, John.
Don't mess with her.
Hey, so we've got 2 phenomenal people on today. You know, the Brain Trust of Veterans Lending Group. But I will tell you, you know, I want to start off before we give the floor to them, telling them my story and my history of a Veterans Lending Group. You know, I retired at the SEAC and almost 38 years of active duty. Hadn't owned a home in over 25 years. And the minute we moved out here to Lakewood, Washington, we were looking to buy a home. And we were excited about that. But we were also a little apprehensive because, you know, we had seen, you know, lending corporations and lending companies in the past that had the people in the purple tuxedos and the pinky rings on, you know, we're saying, "Hey, have I got a deal for you?" and this kind of thing. So we were a little apprehensive. And our realtor, real nice lady, Candace Day, told us, "Hey, I'm going to take you over and let you meet Mike and Brooke Villano." And she says, they are not, you know, your stereotypical lending group or mortgage company people. And when we got over there and we saw Mike with the sleeve tattoos and T-shirt and hat on, I think he's wearing the same clothes there that he was wearing when I first met him 3
Close.
months ago.
Probably close.
But I saw him, Brooke, with her effervescent smile, and just the way they were. Peter and I were immediately comfortable with the environment we were in. And the level of care, the level of communication and everything was just so phenomenal through the whole process. And then we finally got it done, and we got our house bought and everything. And then, you know, having the opportunity, you know, Ron, you remember where I met you at Veterans Lending Group?
I sure do. I was washing my hands and you walked in on me in the restroom.
You know, and what I asked you when I came in, I said, "Do you want to be alone?" You know, I mean, it wasn't a one. You know, I mean, we could
You
have
did. And then as I was walking out, you said something like, I bet you'll lock the door next time. And I was like, oh man, I didn't want to get my ass chewed the first time I met John.
But so then Brooke and Mike asked me to team, and it's just been being here, and it's been to be ranked buddies with you, brother, and I'm so glad we're able to do the Ron and John show. So Ron, why don't you introduce our host a little more? Look, talking here so that our audience can hear.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've definitely we have a history. I mean, this is not just you know, Mike and Brooke. To me, it's family. I mean, and we established that a long time ago, but 5 years in the making here. Just knew as soon as I met them, what turned into from a 45-minute interview turned out to 4 hours. And when Mike banged on the door about 2 and a half, and he says, "I'm going to get some tacos. Do you guys want some or not?" And I was like, I'm right where the hell I need to be.
Yeah.
Home. I'm home. Exactly. And I think it was just kind of one of those things, love at first sight. And we talked about then, which is really interesting. You know, when we talk about planning, especially with transition and everything like that, John, but, you know, prior planning prevents piss poor performance, right? And I'll never forget, and I always bring us back, I think, to that moment of the first 6 months that we were in that cramped ass little office. You know, it was Mike, Mark, and myself, elbow to elbow, writing stuff on the board. But what transpired then was the type of planning, and they were planning for the future, and they were long-term planners. And that was one of the things that I saw, that I said, you know what, this is an organization that I want to be with, because they're not talking about just something a year from there. They're talking about 3-year plan, 5-year plan, and what does it look like down the road. And wouldn't you know it, right now where we're at in our 5-year plan is it's right on time, it's spot on, but they'll tell you it's probably 150% more in volume and just growth and veterans and military spouses that we can bring on a hire. So without further ado, you know, the brainchild of Veterans Lending Group, and who really lets, where I would like to define and say is this true leadership, is because they put the vision out there, as you know, John, because that's one of the things that brought you and attracted to this organization. They put the vision out, they put out their intent, and they let the natural leaders execute that vision and that intent, and they guide the process. And we're happy to be here where we are today. So Mike and Brooke,
Thanks, guys.
welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We appreciate that, man. I obviously, you know, we didn't prepare anything for getting it. I didn't know how this was going to end up going there.
Yeah.
But
Can't hear me, brother.
you can't hear me? No sound?
There we go. I'm good. I think it might be you're in there, John. You good?
I don't think they can hear Facebook Live. I could be wrong.
Oh, we're good. No, we're good, brother.
Okay. All
We
right.
are good. Okay. Well, I was just going to say, man, this is, I think it's a fairly simple recipe. Okay, we are. I think it's a fairly simple recipe for this.
No, I'm good now.
Yeah.
I'm not a commo guy. You know, so I'm used to pulling security.
It's all right, Papa. We got you.
Yeah. I'm good now.
Am I good?
I'm not a commo guy. Yeah.
You're good.
Oh,
John, can you just mute your side? You get a little bit of that satellite delay. That's all.
There we go.
All right.
Cool.
Hey, Mike.
Can I proceed?
Send it.
Send it. Yeah, I was gonna say, man, there's no big secret to this thing. I think it's pretty simple when you're doing business like this. You know, say what you mean, stick to it, keep it simple, and follow through. You know, being honest with people, being direct with people, that gets it done. I mean, 100% of the time. I think when we started this company, we started it off, it was very small. I mean, there was only, what the hell were we at? 4 people? 5 people? 4 people? I don't know.
like 11, I think, of the original transition.
It was a small number, and now, and you know, we had 1 location at the time. We were in Lakewood when we had split off, and now we have, I mean,
73.
Well, 73 and growing, and we have, I don't know how many locations in how many states. And again, to sit here and say that was just Brooke and I would be wrong. I think it's great to have a dream and see the plan and whatnot, but getting the right people and aligning yourself with what you're doing there is absolutely paramount. And so that's what we did. And you know, Ron, you've heard me say it, man. I've said it all kinds of times where I feel like, I almost feel like we're along for the ride, man. It shouldn't make sense that you have 70 some odd people and I like every one of them and they like me. I mean, like, that's not right. Usually there's at least a couple people, right, where they're like, man, I can't stand that. You know, I mean, hey, I'm human too, man. It is what it is. But that isn't the case with us. And it's so strange that with that many personality types and all these people, the right people just keep falling into line and we're able to grow and the doors keep opening. You know, not much that, Ron, just like you, John, just like you. I mean, you know, it's strange how everything aligned for us to be able to even link up and have you guys as friends and partners.
Yeah. Brooke, I got to ask you, because, you know, I always introduce you. In fact, today when I was doing the Lunch and Learn, and, you know, you are one integral part that's in there, because you brought me up to be able to teach that class, just like I bring up the instructors, right? Like, I want to see you do this over and over again until I'm fucking like, you're good, right? And so, you know, I introduce you to all of our real estate agents in the beginning of it because I want them to know where you came from and what your passion is with your father. But and I tell them this is where it's rooted and stemmed from, because I want to continue that story. So if you could just tell the audience, like, why do you, I mean, give a damn so much? You know, I mean, I know Mike is just because he loves the people. We know that, but why?
So my why was my dad. You know, my dad was a Naval Academy graduate in '69, and then he went on to fly helicopters for the Marines in Vietnam. And when he got out of when he got back from Vietnam, he was in the Marines for a couple more years, and then he got out and flew in the National Guard in New York. And he came back and actually became a minister. And I think some of his motivation was his experience overseas when he was in Vietnam. So he had a servant's heart, and that's the way he raised us. You know, take care of people, do the right thing. And I saw this. You know, when I was working in the mortgage business, I've been in the business now 24 years. When I was working in the business, I happened to attract a lot of military family clients. And what I was realizing is that these guys are not guided, they're not protected, there's no one that's being an advocate for them, and there's no one that's giving them the information so that they can understand how does this all work, you know, and protect themselves. So that's really, you know, my dad taught, and my kids tease me all the time for lecturing them. And I guess it's my way of, you know, trying to guide them through life and give them information and knowledge. And I just think knowledge is power. And so for me, it was about giving this knowledge and power to our military families so that they could protect themselves in the future. And that's really, you know, what my passion stems from.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. John?
Yeah.
What are you thinking as far as, you know, when it all blended together? Because I knew when you and Sandra, like you said, when you walked into the office, you just kind of felt the energy, and you were like, well, damn, not only is this the place where I want to, you know, I'm comfortable with this handling my loan, but what else do we got going on? And, you know, then, and that's kind of like the cataclysmic part, right? When we all met, you know, the first time I met you, Mike just kind of said, dude, there's this guy, it sounds cool as fuck. It's just in his name, John Wayne Troxel. He's a bad motherfucker, right? And I was like, yeah, he is, right? And when all that happened and it shook, you know, I know when we started taking this thing on the road, it really felt seamless to us. And I share that with, because I have a lot of friends that are also senior NCOs from that are continuing to serve now, and obviously, and you know, younger generations that are like, oh, how the hell did that happen? And it's hard for me to put into words. And I know you're a wordsmith. You know, maybe you can kind of bring it all together from VLG to, you know, I remember just I'll close with this and pass it off to you. With the first time we were in Fairchild, we get in the back seat, and John whips out his phone, and he says, you know, let me see if I can get who was the Air Force?
The Air Force.
Yeah, the chief of the Master Sergeant of the Air Force. Just like, oh, let me see if I can get him on FaceTime. I'm like, okay, and sure as shit, we got him on speakerphone, and it was just a great thing. I mean, you just command so much respect, and you see you've seen a lot of leadership out there.
Yeah.
Why us?
Well, I just think because of, you know, the nature that in the environment that Brooke and Mike set, and all the teammates set. It's a focused group with focused effort. The main priority is taking care of veteran service members, families, and that also like to have fun. I think life is too short for us to run around with a stick up our ass every day, and I think we got to let our hair down. We got to have fun. And I will tell you, especially in this time right now, where a lot of people like to sensationalize what's going on here. Don't get me wrong. This is, you know, a dangerous time here, but it is not the end of the world, and we can't look at it that way. And I will tell you, you know, to add on to that, there's a lot of things that are happening within our government that are looking to take care of people through this crisis that can't work and everything. My concern through this, and the question I have for Brooke and Mike is, you know, the forbearance laws and everything that are out there, they're designed to give relief to people that need it. But one thing I learned in the military that just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean you should. I don't care whether that's enemy batten or whether it's saying I will hold off on making my mortgage payments until I absolutely have to. Because in the end, and this is what I used to tell my service members all the time, sooner or later, you're going to have to pay that bill. And if you put yourself in a quandary where all of a sudden now you might be 4 or 5 payments behind, then that's on you, okay? Because in the end, you got to make those payments. So Mike and Brooke, I would just like to hear your views on this kind of stuff as we're going through this process.
I think one of the things that my dad taught me growing up is if it sounds too good to be true, it is. So if you're thinking that you can just not make a mortgage payment for 6 months or 12 months, and then that's the end of it and that's all you're going to hear, it's probably not the case. And right now, we don't know, we don't have enough information to know what's really going to happen long term. What we learned through the mortgage meltdown in 2007, 2008, 2009 was that a lot of banks offered modifications, and a lot of people tried to start the modification process, and a lot of people got screwed, for a lack of a better term, and ended up losing their homes due to modifications, because the banking system can't take an influx of requests and have that happen overnight in an organized manner. So there was no systematic approach. From a strategic level, it sounded great. From a tactical level, it was not working. It did not roll out the way it should have rolled out. And that's my biggest concern for what's happening with the forbearance rules and the CARES Act releasing this, hey, you don't have to make a mortgage payment for 6 months.
Too easy.
It's too easy.
Well, and there's people, it's so easy to where there's people that don't even want to be on forbearance, and they're just going, you're on forbearance. From what we're looking at and what we're hearing so far, the majority of them, it's a 3. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, no, you're good.
Okay. It's a 3 month, it's a deferment of 3 months. And then on the 4th month, you owe 4 payments. I don't see how that helps anybody. And at that 4th month, if you don't have, whatever that is, several thousands of dollars, well, then what? I can tell you credit wise, the first time that you miss a payment, man, you miss a payment. It's going to show up on there. We're seeing it report differently in different ways. Obviously, the forbearance is going to come out with how it comes out. But this stuff is going to start showing. And if you can't do that and you start missing payments, then you move into what could be possible foreclosure and just a myriad of other things. Now, I'm sure that there's people that are thinking, oh, there will be something else. There will be some other relief. There will be, well, and maybe there is, but I don't know that any way is a good way. And when you get into it, man, I mean, it's just, I've been through it. I've lived through this before. I've seen people lose their home. I lost my home. I've seen what it looks like when all this stuff rolls. And next thing you know, man, there's a lot of people that are wondering where the heck do I go? It's scary.
That's the thing is one thing about service members is not everybody's experienced this, but a lot of people that I know have, and that's called the no pay due. All right. And a no pay due is a son of a bitch, because it could be either someone screwed up your TDY, your per diem pay, or whatever that is. And, the same thing can happen almost with these forbearances, because just because it's 4 months and they extend it out, because I think we were looking at it the other day, Mike and Brooke, on, well, what are the alternatives or avenues of approach that a servicer can take, right? And it's basically up to almost an individual servicer, right? Like the federal government or whoever it is says, hey, you guys can do forbearances, but it's really up to whoever it is that you're paying your mortgage to and how they want to collect that payment, which could be, right? Correct me where I'm wrong.
Right.
If 12 months, okay, well, we're going to take, if you owe 4 or 5 or 6 months, we're just going to spread that over a 12-month period of time. Whereas if a family is just getting back to work, right, and getting things going forward again, paying their bills, a mortgage and a half is something that they're not ready for.
Right.
And honestly, if you have a VA loan, the better solution is to, right now with the interest rates where they're at, the lowest I've seen them, I've been in the business 24 years, they've never been this low. And no, I think historically they've never been this low. So the better option is to look at doing a VA interest rate reduction refinance loan. If you have a VA loan, you have the opportunity to take your 3.5, 3.875 or whatever interest rate down dramatically lower and save a ton of money per month, possibly skip 1 or 2 payments to get you back on your feet, give you a little bit of a break. And then long term, you're in a better position because you have a lower interest rate, a lower payment, and long term, you're able to make that payment and save money over a long term period of time versus doing this forbearance where it's a quick Band-Aid. So why not look at a long term fix that's something that's actually going to financially help you, and you can take that money and save it and put it in savings or whatever it is that's going to work for you.
I think it's important to say real quick, we're not going to solicit refinances. What Brooke is basically touching on is when we have folks that this will be a benefit on them, we try to close them in the beginning of a month. And so they end up with one interest-only mortgage payment, which is part of rolls into the loan. Usually that's 1 month skipped. Then they naturally will skip the following month. That's 2 months skipped. When we do this and we set it up, we have to collect for a new escrow account, which is usually a decent amount of money. And we finance that in there. When the loan closes, shortly after that, they receive the sum of their current one. So now they have missed 2 payments, skipped 2 payments, forgive me, and now they have a chunk of cash as well. And so instead of having to go through forbearance and go through all this and that and wonder what's up, this is all totally legitimate, and they end up the whole thing with a lower interest rate. So
it's a beautiful thing. And I'll just throw in my own experience because I can. I got a letter from CCM. Right, the other day, along with all the other bullshit mailers that I get. But I'm looking through this thing, and it says what I can qualify for as far as a rate right now on an IRRRL. And it's 6 months, right? That's our target window, y'all. So in case you're wondering, I closed in August. My first mortgage payment was in October 1. Okay, so let's count that down. We've got October, November, December, January, February, March, March, right? So April is when my window opened up to where I was able to, hey, look at this IRRRL option. Now, look, free money is free money, forbearance and all that stuff. Or what are they going to do is my question. So when it came across, when I went to go pay my mortgage online, it said, are you affected? Let's check and see if maybe you can qualify. I did. And they were like, GFY, right? They're like, no, bro, you're good. But with this IRRRL, I'm because I intend to keep this place for a while. I can lower my interest rate, skip 2 mortgage payments, it not affect me because I still intend to purchase again in July if you've been to some of the classes. And now I'm also looking at perhaps even getting a little bit of cash back. So if y'all are looking in a tough spot right now, one of the things that changed too is the verification of employment, right? That came down from up top. That wasn't like something that we're just skipping over. And just to be fair, obviously we are the special operations of VA financing, but this is something that everyone should be looking at, right? Just in refinancing right now as a whole. That's what this whole program is about, is for you to educate yourself on what you can do in these times. And then we'll get into, I'll let you guys go into that one, but then let's talk about really quickly what that looks like with COVID and those that are with the PCS stop movement right now, because we have a lot of active duty on here that may be in that position too. So I'll pass that back to you, Mike and Brooke, really quick.
So I'm gonna let Mike touch on that one.
Yeah, we do, man. I have people that are coming from all over the globe right now, and that is a big question. And hey, I got stopped. I can't move. They stopped my PCS. What do I do? We have some people that are trying to, they want to back out of deals because they panic. They don't understand. A big concern has been occupancy. Another big concern has been cost. If you close on a loan, they know that they're going to have that mortgage payment due. You got to make that first payment, whether that's in 30 days or 60, roughly. It's coming. And so it's a big concern. So there is a couple things that I would definitely tell folks. Number one, Ron, we just dealt with this, man. There is like an exemption. There is something that you can apply for to have a waiver, right? There's a waiver for everything. I've heard you guys say 1,000 times.
The exception to policy, right? The exception
to policy. And that's right. And so this is something that you can get. It's fairly simple to get it. If you are in talks or if you're connected in any way on a real estate transaction like that, where you're under contract, you have closed or whatever, my understanding is that really kind of fast tracks it for you, man. You're linked in, you can get that to command, and it really puts you in the running to waive that, and you'll be able to PCS. Now, again, I'm not guaranteeing that, right? I'm not the boss, but this is what I think.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it's at the unit level. So in my experience, just here recently, we had I just spoke with the sergeant major, who we had somebody that was in this situation, and here's what we're talking about. It has to be a hardship situation. For example, you're renting now, you've just purchased in a new PCS location, say January-ish, February-ish timeframe. This thing hits, but now you're in that apartment. And what's happening is these apartment complexes, some of them are in it for the money, right? And they're doubling the rent right now. Okay, they're doubling the damn rent that they have to stay in, and yet knowing that there's a looming mortgage that the service member has to pay for. So now what's happening is a little bit of it's frantic. But as of last week, as I understand it, it's at the unit level, but the exceptions that were, because for the Army, it was a 1-star general signature that needed to be signed, and that didn't come through. So every exception was being denied. As I understand it now, as they push it through their chain of command, when it hits their S1, there should be things there that have loosened some of those things as far as the way they look at the regulation, and they're being pushed through. In one of my situations with my clients, that is a yes. One of them just emailed me today that they're having some struggles. So we're trying to. I will say this, and I'll pass it to John from here, because as we move forward in these different situations, it's being evaluated daily on what that looks like. And sometimes it takes a little while for that to trickle down to some of these units and at those unit levels. But I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of questions on that, John, of like kind of how does that work? Like when these things happen, what would you recommend, as coming off as the former SEAC? Because I also know that there's a lot of shit that you didn't even know that was going on in transitioning, but what does that look like for our audience?
Well, each case has to be on a case by case. And I will tell you, this is where it comes in. And when we have to deal with issues that are going on, crisis, like, leaders have to execute a balance between compassion and discipline. And what I mean by that, certainly if someone is still paying rent in one duty location and they've already, bought a house in another duty location, and they're already expected to be making a payment, that's certainly a situation that, and certainly the department is looking at to make sure get relief. That's where the compassion that we look at. The discipline has to be that if a tactical level leader is getting in front of the patient and saying, hey, you guys don't have to pay your mortgage payment for your rent, or just saying that, by pulling it their then that's wrong, okay? Because now leaders are encouraging people to go ahead and get behind the power curve, like Mike and Brooke described could happen. So there's got to be, as a leader, between that. We got to be compassionate, and we got to be sensitive to each service member and their family, individual situation. But there's got to be a level of discipline how we do this. We cannot have just being over and not the discipline. For 4 months, you don't have a mortgage, because in the end, 9 times out of 10 are getting more financially by doing that would if they continue to make their payments every month. So as leaders, it's got to be that balance to move forward. And I will tell you, the DOD are looking at this and making sure situations try and provide relief and their families.
Yeah. And it's important. And I'm glad you said that, John, because there's a lot of soldiers, right now that are kind of feeling like, where do we go? And I think one of the things is that as I say in all my VA homeland boot camps, we're great at three things, John. We can lead, we can follow, and we get the hell out of the way, right? And we also learn in three ways, right? Audio, visual, and feeling, right? So, and we're very trusting until, there's some skepticism there. And I think it's one of the first times where, leadership has to really, not the first time. I mean, let me not misspeak there because the different situations, but as far as an environment like this, really, I can't think of in my career that there's been an instance where leadership has had to make decisions based on something like this, right? And I think that they're doing the best that they can. But if y'all are seeing some struggles or you're in this type of hardship, reach out to us, let us know, and we're going to do anything that we can, to be able to paint that picture. I've got somebody I'm working with right now who I'm just saying, hey, just explain your situation. Let's see what we can do, and being proactive, because this is a thing where a rising tide lifts all ships. I don't care if you're with another lender or whoever it is. This is about us as a family coming together and making sure that we're taking care of each other. And if we have to, do that through some education and some compassion, with balancing that with the discipline, then we'll do that and know that we've at least done everything that we can do to take every step forward. So anyway, John, what are your thoughts from here, brother?
This is the part of the show where we get some questioning at our guest here. What do you say we put our questions at Mike and Brooke?
Let's do it. Let's fire some off. Let's see here what we got. I've got quite a few.
If you'd like to go first. So first of all, we got a very special audience on the Enlisted 9 Fight Company that has about 920,000 followers, and it's a member and veteran-owned organization. And one of the guys on it is one of the owners is a very good friend. He is an active duty Sergeant First Class named Colton Smith, but he's also a professional fighter, and along with being a business owner, and he won the Ultimate Fighter 2016 show. He was the champion of that show. So my first question is going to go to Mike. You have three choices of what you would like to do. Okay. You can either A, spend a night in a cell with 𝗄𝗏, B, go hunting with former vice president and executive Halliburton, or C, you can go 3 rounds in a cage. What would you like to do?
Well, shit. I won't make it 3 rounds in the cage, so I'll go 1 round in the cage, man, because I'm not cuddling with whatever you called him, and I'm sure as hell not. I wouldn't even come back from a hunting trip with those fellas. So yeah, I'll take my beating.
Colton said, "Knock you out."
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Brooke, I mean, what's your answer, Brooke? That's a team effort here, I feel.
Oh my God, I will cuddle with 𝗄𝗏 all day long.
Oh, we'd be getting a divorce immediately after. I don't know how you scrub that off.
He doesn't want me. You just be using me to get to Mike.
True.
All right,
Ron.
It's on me. All right. Now, many of this audience doesn't know, but there's a looming cloud over this area called Jackson Hole for both of you.
Oh, you bastard.
Now, John, I'm going to let them catch you up to speed. But I believe it was 3 attempts to Jacksonville and why it's looming, and twice. Okay.
Jackson Hole.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Yeah.
Jackson Hole. My bad. It's it might as well be Ville because it sounds evil, right?
It is evil.
Share with the audience, Brooke. What was your most terrifying time when you knew that when you saw like some sort of fear in Mike's eyes that you've never seen before? Because I'm sure it's happened once in each of the
I've had so many situations with Mike because Mike is, I call him 𝗙𝗏𝗏 because he likes to fix things and he is amazing at fixing things. But also we have a lot of things that break before he fixes them because he knows he can fix anything. So
she said a lot. I don't know if we have a lot of things.
We have a lot of things.
But we've got some shit.
We have things that break all the time. He's 𝗙𝗏𝗏, so he fixes them. But we did have Well, gosh, I mean, how many times we literally blew a diesel engine in an like a diesel pusher RV, blew out the side of the cylinder. There were shards of cylinder all over the ground. It was midnight by the time we got to Grants Pass, Oregon. And if you guys have ever been to Grants Pass, Oregon, there ain't shit there.
Nothing there.
Nothing. So thank God we had just come over the Blue Mountain Pass and come down, and it was snowing and it was hailing and it was freezing cold. It was wintertime because we were heading to Jackson Hole to go skiing for the New Year's week. So anyhow, I'm on the phone with, and I'm a horrible storyteller, so you don't want me to actually Mike should probably put that.
No, you don't. Yeah, just this.
Dude, I don't know. We had a catastrophic engine failure. Cylinder 3 blew out. I blew a hole in both sides of the block. How the fuck does that happen? On a
Well, it's not on vacation unless something catastrophic happens.
Dude,
Diesel engines are reliable.
what was the? And this was a.
Oh, we've had so many.
This is a 43-foot coach. You know, and this is not like a old piece of shit.
This is like a retired person's.
Yeah,
like,
this is
I'm
grandma and
living in
grandpa's
this
coach,
RV.
man.
This thing's gonna be around for 600,000 miles. No, 65,000 miles. We blew that shit.
Oh, yeah. I can do anything, man. What was the other one? What else did we break?
Well, let's see. The other RV. We were pulling, so we had to sell that one. So we put that one up for sale. I got another RV diesel pusher again. We were driving to Jackson Hole.
I don't know. That's what I was saying.
Colorado. We were driving to Colorado to go visit our branch in Colorado. And that thing, we pulled into a parking lot in Ellensburg, Washington at midnight again, because
Dude, I gotta quit driving at night.
He likes
I know.
to drive at night. So we pull into the parking lot and we're trying to navigate around all these concrete barriers. And it's a 45-foot RV pulling a trailer. So it's like 60 feet combined. We get stuck in the parking lot and Mike's turning the steering wheel while he's cussing, trying to figure out how to get this out of the parking lot. And we blow
I blew the steering out of that fucking thing, man. I don't know what it was. It was a ball joint, actually. It was a steering ball joint that blew.
And this is like the thing that's like, if you would have been driving down the highway when you
probably
blew
would've killed
this,
us.
it would have killed everybody.
Yeah.
So
I
thankfully,
saved all of our lives.
that's what he said to me. I saved our lives. I'm so glad in the parking lot. So we don't try and go to Jackson Hole anymore, sadly.
Thanks for bringing that up, Ron.
Yeah, I thought I'd just replay that one for you. John, back to you.
Brooke, I got a question for you.
Shit.
Have you ever, in the time that you've known Mike Villano, ever tagged him when he was asleep or passed out? Meaning, took a magic marker and wrote some stuff on his face or body, anything like that. Have you ever tagged him before?
That's a good one.
No, but I should have. I have not. I have taken pictures of him while he's sleeping in weird positions for blackmailing purposes later on in life.
That's creepy.
But I've actually never used them.
I didn't even know that. But to be fair, John, I have been tagged before. I'm sure I probably had a dick on my face at one point.
Not mine.
Not Brooke's dick.
With the Sharpie or no Sharpie?
Sharpie. I mean, that I know of. I got some weird friends just like we all do.
Yes, we do. John, we got some more questions in here that we could see here. Let's see. I've got
Oh, that's cool.
let me see here. Because we're gonna press here for
we can see it. Yeah, Ed Sullivan.
Do you think that the financial psychology affects the COVID pandemic increase? Yeah. I do. Ed's asking if he lives in Silicon and I'm currently working on a master's in psychology. I'm considering applying to Lakewood, VA. Do you think that the financial and psychological effects of the COVID-19 pandemic could result in an increased need for mental health care for veterans and lead to an increased need for mental health care workers at the VA? I absolutely do. I think there's a lot of negative effects of what's happening right now through isolation. And I'm on the side that believes that the immune system is heavily affected by emotional health. And if you don't take care of your emotional health, your immune system is going to be suppressed. And therefore, you're going to become, more easily affected by things like COVID. So I don't necessarily think that isolating everyone and putting them in a home by themselves. I mean, I have military spouses that are employees of mine, and I have seen a very clear emotional decline because their husbands are deployed and they're at home alone with no connection. You know, I mean, let me just not say no connection. The military spouse community is doing an amazing job reaching out to these spouses that are home alone. But I've got one that has 3 young children, and she's having to work from home with her husband deployed while she's trying to manage these 3 young kids. And she's isolated, you know, she has to cook her own meals. She has to do all of that stuff. So that's on the spouse side. On the service member side, you know, mental health is already a really big issue. You throw financial concern, you throw health concerns into the equation, you throw concerns of, is the government, you know, what is the government saying today about what I can and can't do in my civil liberties? There's a lot of stuff that can, I think, expand as a result of all of those stressors.
And Ed, I would say, good on you, brother. That's a career well served, man. I work with military. I work with veterans every day of my life. I wouldn't have it any other way. You'll help a lot of great people.
Yeah, you know, let me just chime in on that one too. Is that you know, I've basically become like we'll say the military veteran liaison between Veterans Lending Group and our community. And you know, I get asked by Mike and Brooke all the time, hey, I'm facing this thing with this veteran. Can we step in? Is there some resources that we can do to really kind of help break the ice? Is there something training we can do with our organization? And it's you know, and it speaks volumes because it's weird to think, but when that one question that we ask, are you receiving any disability of 10% or more so we can waive your VA disability, your VA funding fee? That's when we get that kind of big dump. And I'll say, even with some of my friends, and I've done some, you know, suicide prevention and interdictions, is, you know, one of the things that we fear the most is isolation, you know? So the thing is by seeing, for me, people like folks like John, you know, I mean, I see John get out there, I see his little route that he does, or, you know, he's sweating his ass off in the morning. And I'm like, you know what? I need to get out and do something. I need to go out and do something more. I got to get out and get fired up and not feeling sorry for myself on this damn couch and strumming my guitar all day. Right. And thinking that, no, I got to get out. And when you're out there, physical fitness is that one thing that really is continuous. John, I know you got something to say about that, brother.
Oh, I'm with you. Hey, you know, mental and emotional focus, stability, and fitness is based off a good foundation of physical fitness. And one thing we've learned through certainly the last 20 years of combat is that the more physically fit a man or a woman was, the more they were able to endure the mental, emotional, and psychological and spiritual hardships of combat. It's just proven fact, you know. Our medical professionals will tell you. So every day, especially through something like this, we all have to look, how do we challenge ourselves every day physically that will lead to a better mental and emotional state? I know for somebody like me, even though I'm tired, if I don't do my PT every day, I feel like if I miss one day, I'll weigh 500 pounds and, you know, and I'll be a fat ass. You know? But the bottom line is I do it so that I can continue to deal with anything that comes up in my life. You know, it allows me to be calmer, allows me to be more focused, and allows me to be a better and a better leader. So, what I call that, thanks to my good buddy Anthony reminded me, is that if you're a leader in whatever you do, you have to validate your credentials. When you're at the top, you can't say, I'm at the top, bow, kneel, yield, follow me. You do what I say, not what I do. You still have to be a leader of example, a leader of inspiration. And it starts with what you do every day to motivate, you know, the passion that you exude and what you do to get people fired up to be better than they were yesterday. So I'm huge that whatever physical activity anybody can do, whether it's walking, whether it's, you know, throwing Atlas stones like me and carrying shit, or running marathons, or doing jujitsu or stuff like Colton Smith and the boys at Enlisted 9 Fight Company do. I think it's got to be a part of our life, and it's certainly for someone that lives in the warrior class that is a part of our United States military. You have no option. You have to be ready for the worst day of your life, and that may come during a deployment, may come in combat, or it could come in everyday life with some of the things that Brooke talked about earlier. So I think absolutely it is a huge part of what we do every day in life.
Yep.
Agreed.
And I wanted to say too, because I know we announced that this was going to be a financial wellness class. And I don't want that just to only be perceived as just the mortgage side of the your financial world. I think, John, everything that you just said about your physical health, a lot of that applies to your financial health, because if you're financially stressed, you can't be focused. You know, your spouse, you can't be not worried about your spouse at home. You can't be not worried about what your financial future looks like. And it's like you said, it's that little step every single day. You know, even if you're only saving $20 a month for yourself financially so that you can create a nest egg. One of the things that's the scariest from our perspective is that the majority of the clients that we work with, they don't have money saved. They don't have savings. So a time like this, if you're not active duty and you're out of the military, you don't know, you may be furloughed, you may be unemployed, you might be dealing with a financial hardship because you didn't have money in savings. And you have to choose to make that your priority for yourself. And it's so funny when we used to have the newcomers briefings and we used to have all these young active duty families coming through and service members coming through, we would introduce ourselves. And, you know, I would always say to the young guys, like, I know you're going to go buy that new sexy Mustang, or I know you're going to go get that crotch rocket or that road bike because that's, you know, with your bonus money, but you should buy a house because, you know, chicks and dudes think that's hotter. I mean, they have to start young and start thinking about investing in their own future from a young perspective. And I just think our service members they're not necessarily thinking that way. And I don't know that we're teaching them that way from a young age.
Yeah. Ernie Beck, we got a question from him. He says, are you seeing higher rates for VA, I'm going to say loans, compared to conventional? If so, do you see this correcting? So I'll just put this to either one of you. I know the answer, but
yeah, Ernie, we're not seeing higher rates. We're seeing lower rates, and that's for VA loans. Conventionally, when I'm looking at that, I'm seeing, you know, usually conventional rates are higher than VA rates, just on the everyday. If the world was normal, that's what we're seeing. The other thing that I'm seeing with conventional, just ran one this morning, is I'm seeing a correction in MI. MI is expensive, man. I just ran a 3% down for a qualified, well-qualified.
What's MI?
Sorry.
MI,
private mortgage insurance. And this gentleman was, dude, it was for your borrower paid, meaning what you would just pay monthly. It was like 1.35. That's high. That's way high. So it was actually, it was more affordable to, this gentleman wasn't able to go VA. We ended up looking at an FHA option. So yeah, we're seeing fantastic interest rates, and hopefully it hangs out.
Yep. From Candace Day, there we go. Question for Brooke and Mike. What would you tell us real estate agents facing this market uncertainty? Do we close down, tighten our belts, or continue with marketing efforts, realtor dues, office fees, MLS fees that are extremely costly, or any military spouse entrepreneurs for that matter?
That's a really good question, Candace. We're getting that question from agents all over the country because we do a lot of, you know, we talk to agents that are all over the country. So what I like to do is reflect back on his history repeat itself, right? These cycles, they come and they go. You know, when the real estate industry goes through a difficult market and a recession, which technically we're in a recession, these markets will come and they'll go. So I don't think you want to throw in the towel. You've already done a lot to get yourself to where you are in building your real estate business. I think it's time to get gritty. You're going to have to study. You're going to have to, you know, better yourself. You're going to have to be ready to pivot quickly and look at what you can do to become current in the current market changes. I think if you're a part-timer, I think you should tighten your belts, because part-time real estate agents are probably going to have a harder time than those that are full-time and have been doing this as their, you know, full-time profession. But it doesn't mean that today isn't the time that you can go and dive in and become that professional that, you know, goes back to basics and does an amazing job moving forward. a lot of people make a lot of money in a down market because they are going at it harder than a lot of people who are giving up during that time. So we're not giving up. We're doubling down right now. We're looking to grow. And this is a time that we're actually the busiest that we've ever been as Veterans Lending Group. So
yeah, I think it's a good time to shine. I mean, I think that, well, Candace, you know this, as a whole, this is, our market's pretty chubby. And what I mean by that is we've got, there's a realtor everywhere you look. There's a lender everywhere you look. And, you know, one out of 100 of them are decent. I think it'll be fantastic to shave that down. And it always happens. This will thin the herd and it'll get rid of them. But you really shine if you are exceptional. I mean, and one of the reasons, like what Brooke just said about us being busier than ever, this is because we haven't had any changes. We don't have any overlays that were imposed on us. We didn't jack up the credit score. We didn't do any of that stuff. So now all the folks around us who now have these limitations, well, the borrower's got to go somewhere. You know, get them with the people that can handle it. And so for us, that's opened the floodgates. For you as an agent, be that agent. You know, be the one that's there that can get it done. That really shines, and it's fantastic.
Well, and I think for any industry, it goes back to, are you doing the right thing for your clients? You know, don't focus on the paycheck. Don't be fearful that you're not going to make money, because if you lead with fear, everyone will see it a mile away. You have to be your biggest concern, your number one priority has to be taking care of these families. If you lead with taking care of the families, you will be successful because people will see that that's your authentic motivation and your why. And
that word will travel. Just like Mr. John Wayne Troxell always says, he loves Candace.
That's right. That's right. We have another question from Adam Bezenson. He says, do you think the real estate market is going to take a big hit in Tacoma because the inventory is super low? You know what? I'll tackle that one. Because I live in Tacoma.
Yeah.
And I'm a buyer in Tacoma. And, you know, I can tell you, you know, it's the feeling here is number one, the train that's here through Tacoma is still moving. The link is connected. It's already made the loop all the way around through the medical center up here up top. And what we're seeing is that homes that are popping up, there are, you know, a few multiple offer situations, but sometimes, you know, just like Dustin, right? Dustin's situation where there was a multiple offer situation on the home before, but as time went on, those buyers got a little skittish. They backed out. So then the seller took the first thing that came up, which was him. So I think what's happening right now is it's kind of like it's going in this balance right now as far as what's happening, right? Something pops up, it's being snatched up right away still. But sellers are still a little bit apprehensive as far as, you know, they get ready to list it, because they also have to consider what they're going to be doing, you know, in their next move. For me personally, just my strategy, no, not speaking for anybody else. I'm hitting an Earl as quickly as possible, which was today, if I could get this thing triggered off. And then I'm also planning to buy again in July, at the end of July, when my window opens up, to take advantage of whatever this market has to be. I mean, I'm a proponent of right now is the best time to purchase. So Jeremy Ferranti, we got, we're wrapping this one up, but we got last one. This market is very strong, he says. I have a question. Where are VA appraisers allowed to charge exorbitant amounts of money for appraisals if they are drive-by? That's actually a pretty good question. Mike Brooke, I mean, I think it's right.
They shouldn't be. VA is pretty good about policing what appraisers are charging, but they do leave it up to the appraiser. And in a time like this, which is something that we haven't ever seen in the mortgage industry, where virus is forcing appraisers to have to do drive-by appraisals. Usually if you push back on the RLC, which is the Regional Loan Center, the VA Regional Loan Center, usually you can get them to be realistic and reasonable for the benefit of the veteran. So if a VA appraiser is charging an exorbitant amount of money, if we push back on the Denver RLC, which Jeremy, I know you're located in Colorado Springs, so if we push back on the Denver RLC, we might have some luck with that. And if you'd like us to reach out on that, we can. But that doesn't make sense. They shouldn't be doing that. A drive-by appraisal is less work because they don't have to physically get out of the car, go into the house, walk through the house, and take pictures.
Well, and also it isn't just left up to the VA appraiser to charge whatever they want. I mean, you can look up in the VA manual for different areas. There's a set fee. Do I think that it should be reduced for a drive-by? Hell yeah, I wouldn't argue that ever. And in our area, Jeremy, where we're in, well, I'm in Florida now, but in Washington State specifically, if you'll go back a few years, and some people will relate to this, we were going over on VA appraisals. We couldn't get the damn things in time to save our life. VA appraisers were literally dying off, and they had to do something to get other people qualified to get more appraisals, which is why that went up. So we're up to $800. So they are expensive. It's the most expensive appraisal. It would be nice to see that come down, and yeah, maybe reaching out to the RLC will be something we can do to help everybody out.
Nice. And then one last comment here, and we'll close it out. Ernie Beck says, asked, do we want to open an office in Maryland?
Sure. Are you near Annapolis?
Quit asking these questions because they're always going to say yes.
I know. We don't.
Hey, John, all that's going to do for us is pump up our frequent flyer miles, right?
That's it. More mobile.
Our RV will travel.
Right, exactly.
I saw John laughing up there. I know for sure there were some other questions in there, but if we got to wrap, then let's do it. But whatever, I'm down for more.
John, what are you thinking of there, brother? What's the next order of business for Mike and Brooke right now?
Well, I just think we continue to get after business like we're doing through this degraded mode that we have to operate in because of the coronavirus. Continue to push forward. And I think as far as the Ron and John show, we continue to bring people on that can provide inspiration, purpose, motivation, direction, and then opinion. I mean, we want to know what's on people's mind. Here, one thing that we didn't talk about today, but I think in future episodes is, the federal government wants to open up as soon as possible. Obviously, because they want to get the economy back up and running, which is something that any leader would try to do to make sure we're not breaking ourselves. But then you have individual states that are looking to do it, that aren't looking to do it. So maybe let's bring some folks on here in the future and let's have a discussion about stuff like that.
You know what, John? You know what I say? Ain't no time like the present.
Let's do it, man.
I mean, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do one more quick closeout shot, and if anybody wants to stick around, they can. And then let's ask the opinion of our guests that we have now. No time like the present, right? So we're gonna rip one back off here. I'm gonna do it old school style.
I like hanging out with you guys.
This is the best.
All right. Cheers to us getting out of this whole thing safe and hopefully getting back to business as usual.
Yeah.
Salud.
Cheers. Hey.
Mike, Brooke, the question's been asked. What's on your mind? What's going on in your area?
Well, I mean,
where are you? I mean, let's.
Yeah, I was going to say we have two areas right now. We're in Destin, Florida, and in Destin, Florida, it's been pretty mellow for a good while now. I think Florida took some heat a while back from all the spring breakers that were showing up from wherever, and they were on the beach down the road from up here in Capital City and wherever, all the way to South Florida, and they were going, oh, geez, they're just not paying any attention to this. They're not taking it seriously. They're getting it. And so, they kind of came through and they shut down all the beaches. But prior to that, there was already a lot of stuff that you couldn't go in and sit down for food or your coffee or, people were taking measures on their own. They didn't really need Big Brother to come in and start telling them what was yes and what was no. They shut down these private beaches as well, for even things like exercise. Yeah. And so, I didn't agree with this, man. Do I agree with not congregating? Sure. That makes life common. But exercising, maintaining the spatial outdoors where the wind blows on the beach to go for a run or a walk or whatever, do your thing, whatever you want to do. I didn't agree with that, and I don't agree with having government step in and start going, everyone has to do this. I understand that there's something that we should all do here. Police yourself. If you are in that demographic where you might be at risk here, you might want to stay at home. You might want to cover up. You might want to do all these things that they're saying. If you're not, it's cool to be respectful of everyone else who may be and go about your business. I don't need anyone coming to tell me whether I should or should not be doing this or that. That's my opinion.
Let me just chime in on that one. Because I totally see where you're coming from, and I made a post earlier about my good Ranger buddy Steve LeBlanc, who is on the front lines, and he's in New Orleans, and he's seen and he works for a healthcare system, and he's seen them be overloaded. He does see the flattening of the curve and stuff like that, and kind of letting everybody know, like, hey, it is a lower percentage of catching it, but it's a way higher percentage of mortality and this bad shit happening.
Yeah, right.
But and obviously here in Washington State, the farther up north, we've saw the restrictions tighter up there than we have kind of floating down. But I can also tell you that, for I call him my godfather, I won't say his name, but who is in that higher risk area, most definitely. But he's a business owner, and I'm sure he would love to see, with safe practices, because he's a business owner and is going to take those things in consideration of how that's going to, severely impact his business. So, and I see where that could be. But John, I know you were touching last week on, just like, some of the things and perhaps even triggers that go on when you see that gate open, and as you're getting ready to go to the grocery store or something like that. But how are you doing, brother? I mean, we're not going to say you're high risk, because I don't think you are. I think you're borderline at best, especially with how good you take care of yourself. But I mean, what are you and Sandra doing these days? And are you fearful? What are your thoughts?
No, I think, and I've said it plenty of times, regardless of what the enemy is, whether it's a virus, whether it's ISIS, whether it's potentially a nation state, you don't want to lose the respect for the capabilities they have, but you certainly want to lose the fear. All right. I'm going to be confident in my health, in my immune system, in my wife's health and immune system, and that we're doing the right things. I'm going to have more confidence in that than I am going to be the confidence that the coronavirus is going to come and get us. That's just the way our outlook is. It is about being positive. And if we are doing all of the right things and we still catch the virus, then the virus had its day, But the bottom line is, we're not going to stop living. We're going to be prudent in, how we handle risk. And we're going to continue to do the things that we can do, but we're not going to stop living. We're not going to let it happen. And that's my recommendation to everybody out there, because the media and others will sensationalize this thing to where all of a sudden it is an existential threat to the existence of human life.
Right.
And we know that's not what it is. And so we have to keep it in perspective as we move forward. And I will tell you, frankly, what Sandra and I have been seeing around here, people are getting tired of being told or being sensationalized. People are wanting to live their life. They're wanting to get back to some form of normalcy. And now they're not blatantly going out and doing things, but more and more people are like, hey, okay, where is, the apocalypse that you told us was going to happen here? Don't get me wrong. I am not trying to marginalize what this virus has done across the United States and the world. It is dangerous and deadly, but so are several other things out there that happen in everyday life for all of us, regardless of where we're from. And so the idea is, you don't stop living, you keep living. And that's what we've been doing.
Yeah. Brooke, you've done a lot of stuff. I know you as far as your when I say a lot of stuff, you're very proactive as far as when it comes to like this virus things and like herbs and veggies and stuff. And like when I could tell you that one of the first things to be gone was fucking toilet paper. Which, you know what, just for the record, I bought my first 4-pack of toilet paper since this whole thing started yesterday. Okay. But as far as being ahead of things like herbs,
what have you been doing? Don't just skip over that.
When I see the herbs and veggies, like they're still full, but I see beef and everything else that's still like all gone. Like I know you're very like, why are people not being proactive with the oregano oil and things like this? Like, are there things that you did for your family that more so, or are you all just kind of, because I know how you get. So
is that me?
Yeah, you like what as far as with the family, like, are you like pumping up the oregano shots, or are you just telling everybody to be smart in your house? And what and what can people do to kind of combat this, do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, I've got family members that are high risk. I've got you know, I think I believe that if you build up the immune system is strong and you're going to be able to fight things off. I believe that the body knows and the body is good and was designed to fight viruses and to fight things off. And I believe that if you fight a virus, you develop an antibody, and then you're able to share that through herd immunity. So I'm not a scientist. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a scientist, but
yeah.
You know, I try and read a lot about what's happening. For my family, on just eat healthy, be smart, you know, obviously wash your hands, don't go places where there's a lot of people and you're going to expose yourself to things that you shouldn't expose yourself to. I don't have anyone high risk in my household, but you have to be smart about this stuff. You can't let fear, like John said, you can't let fear drive how you live your life. And already it's affecting our economy in such a way, you know, this is going to be a long-term effect, you guys. This isn't going to be a short-term, everybody's back to work in 2 months and life is back to normal. Not what we're seeing on the mortgage industry side and the real estate industry side. This is going to be a longer-term thing. And for me, I question, is there political motivation or, you know, where are the politics that are involved in this? And that's the frustrating thing as a citizen is, you know, you can't really trust what's going on and the information that's coming to you. So all you can do is protect your family inside the walls, right? Yeah. And, you know, the way that you do that is by keeping everyone as healthy as you possibly can and being smart.
And you know, what we've been doing, we still, just like John said, we try to get out there and at least walk and partially run more, but a couple miles every day. We might do it at a more low traffic time. A lot of that's just dictated by our work. We're very busy, but we try to make time for it. When we go to the store, we still are going out, running to our office and do what we have to do. We're just out there, man. We're not sitting in here, you know, locking ourselves in the room, yelling at someone to shut a window. I mean, it's, you know, we're fine.
Well, I just got a message from our producer. We have to shut this down, but
hey, Ron, I got one last question. Please.
Hit it, John. Hit it. I know you're giggling.
All right, Mike and Brooke, we were supposed to open the Fort Walton Beach office on 11 April, and we promised 50 entrenching tools. For the first 50 that showed up, we get a signed entrenching tool.
Yep.
I think we got to look at putting a date on the calendar in the future when we can to make sure that we don't forget about those warriors out there and veterans and family members that we're going to come get a signed entrenching tool. I think we still owe it to them. And I think we just we need your reassurance that we're still going to do that.
Oh, 100%. John, we have them all. They've all been bought and paid for, brother. We're just waiting for everything to open up. Get back.
We're going to make that happen for sure.
We love to hear that. Well, with that, thank you all so much for joining us today and learning about a number of things. And we are going to shut this thing down. But again, thank you so much to Mike and Brooke.
Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, Ron, I just want to let people know, please go to 𝗙𝗏 Retired John Wayne Troxel page, like my page, brought to you by Veterans Lending Group. Start looking for Motivation Monday quotes that I'm going to put on there, and the Ron and John show every Wednesday, 1600 PST. Because like I said before, the Ron and John show, you know, we're known coast to coast like butter and toast. we can knock down ISIS, make them surrender or die, and we can even make somebody like Anthony Spadaro kind of fly. Right? We drink a lot to make sure we can sing, and we sing a lot to make sure we can sing. And if you want to have fun, don't you delay. Follow me and this other ranger. We lead the way.
Oh, I love it.
Boom.